Good morning and welcome to Get Enlightened with me, Lauren Scott. Guys, I am so excited to have Dr. Heather Buckley back onto the podcast. Hello, Heather.
Hello and thank you. It is an honor and a pleasure to be back here. Thank you.
I'm so excited because we had such a beautiful response, and I know I had talked to you about getting on a regular basis and for this to actually be happening because I didn't do anything during the summer. So here we are. She will be coming on a regular basis. I would really like to push for once a month. We'll see if that happens because, life and schedule and all of that stuff. But let's just talk. Let's just talk about what's been going on with your world and shout out your socials one more time where people can get your services, and let's start there.
Well, I basically just have a website. So it's www.heather-buckley.com. That's it. It's easy, simple. You can check me out, see what I'm doing. I don't have anything current or live there, but you can schedule appointments with me. I do Zoom. I do all types of things. So yeah, I have someone who'll, if you reach out to her, she'll schedule you and figure out what you need and what would be most appropriate for you.
I love that. So how's life, Miss Heather? How's it going? Tell us what's been happening.
It's a flow. It's a flow, like it is for everyone, we're all in it. The ups and the downs of all of the beautiful things that are possible experiences here. It's been that. Yeah, a lot for you too. That's, you said you weren't doing anything through the summer. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I know, girl, I know. Well, let's start with what Spirit is coming through and talking with you about and what we can open up to the collective about that.
Yeah, so the collective is right now, these are really stressful times. There's a lot of chaos. We've had a lot of events with, you could talk about cosmic aspects of these full moons and these lunar events and the
we have an eclipse tomorrow.
It's a lot. So you can take that into account. You can take in, some of these aspects that are affecting other aspects, but, election coming up, which I don't get political. I can't get into any of that because I really don't. I just, it isn't about politics ever. It's about energy. And if we can keep to the energy, what are you noticing energetically through these experiences, and how do you keep yourself in alignment, in what I call shunya, in that balance, that neutral center, through the process? Because these are times of getting heated. It's like the heat's on. If you're in a physics class and you've got these test tubes and you're boiling, are you going to boil up, or are you going to just say, I'm the test tube that's not having the heat here? Like, I'm just going to stay constant and easy, and I'm going to just
stay with the flow.
Yeah, well, even you don't have to be in a flow. You just don't engage. You already know what you think, what you feel, what you know, and that's enough. You don't have to bounce that off of others, or you don't have to allow them to bounce it off of you. You can just do you in a way that is peaceful, lovely. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Do you.
Do you, boo? Well, I think during the time with political, which I don't like talking politics either because everybody has their own opinions on it, and
but we're right here in it, right?
And we're right here in it.
That energy is heightened.
Yes, and I keep telling my clients, just stay in your own bubble, kind of,
your own lane,
and stay positive. Like, do as much as you can for yourself in a positive light and way, and you'll get through this, because this happens every 4 years. Just seems to be really intense right now.
Here's what I know from Spirit side is that there are no mistakes. It will be what it will be in the way that it should. And we don't have to worry about that. We have to do our part. It doesn't mean that we're not proactive in having expression in our body, in our minds, in our souls, in our energy. We are having to rise up and step into an understanding. But
Yeah.
you better know that the bigger picture, it's a beautiful tapestry of life and living and energy and this flow, and it all combines in the way that it should. It doesn't mean we like it. It doesn't mean that we're comfortable in it. And if we don't like it and we're not comfortable in it, then there are many, many opportunities for expressing ourselves, for learning, for growth, expansion, all those kinds of beautiful things, you know?
Well, what do you think that you can give the listeners, maybe top 3 things during this, because we are going into the cold and flu season. It's kind of the time I hermit in during the winter myself and spend a lot of time with my family and traditional things. What is something that you could do or that you would want to put forth to the collective on things that they can do, maybe the top 3 things they can do to keep their vibe high and healthy on mind, body, and soul?
Yeah, okay. So if we speak to the mind, sometimes people have what's called seasonal depression. And look, I'm not any kind of psychologist or anything like that, but make sure that you have practices in place. If you need to get out into the sunlight at some point in the day, if you're in a very cold climate, even if you're in a warmer climate, like make sure you're sticking to that time frame of getting out and getting some natural sunlight. That's very helpful. Very, very helpful. It helps with sleep too, for your circadian rhythm, for that seasonal depression. Some people get really depressed in these colder times. And I know that in some climates it's not possible. And if it's not possible, then I say, get a good book and have a reading light that's right on you that almost mimics that sunlight, or get a type of a lamp that would give you that type of feeling of connection into a heat source like that.
Yes.
That's a way that we can go for some of that. And then if we talk about the body, people tend to have things happening because everyone's indoors, everyone's on top of each other, and we tend to be breathing each other's breaths, and we're going to be collectively getting in and celebrating and having these for the next 3-4 months. We're going to be indoors doing all these kinds of things, and so practice good hygiene. I mean, hygiene. Be aware. If you have some sort of issue, I do have some things I love to talk about when there's coughing involved, or, and I never go into diagnosis of anything, because you heal one, you heal all. And I'm from the naturopathic perspective, not from the allopathic perspective. So when we start talking about symptoms of things, there are things you can do to help with situational experiences of the body. If you find yourself in any kind of lung issue, which tends to come in these cooler times, it can come in the summer too, but more in that we're on top of each other. That's how things spread pretty quickly. Blowing up balloons 5 times a day. If your lungs are having any type of experience of congestion, or any type of,
I love that.
Yeah. So if you're coughing, you find yourself really struggling. I mean, and you should always check with your primary care physician. Of course, it goes without saying, I'm not an allopathic doctor. I'm not an MD. So that always check with your doctor and follow what they have for you. But Mullein, Mullein, is amazing for lung support. So, always say, hey, check it out. You need to do your research. Is it right for you? Are there contraindications with any of your allopathic medications, pharmaceuticals that you're taking? Be careful of that. But Mullein is excellent for lung support. Blowing up balloons 5 times a day. If you're compromised within your lung system, you're really struggling, blow those balloons up. That's really going to help you. Don't blow the same balloon up for a month. You got to get a different balloon every time, but just, go to Party City and get some balloons and start blowing them up, and blow them all the way up,
Yeah.
get that going. So that's something you can do. Many ways to support yourself. Like, I don't want to give out a ton of supplements because, but echinacea, elderberry, there are many ways to support yourself, but we don't want to just start doing that prophylactically, really. Elderberry maybe, but really you just want to let your body do what it does. And then if you're having some issues, then you can address them.
Do you do the elderberry that like you can buy over the counter, or do you do like is there a certain kind of elderberry that you like to use?
I actually don't like elderberry for myself. I
Mm.
tend to use oil of oregano. So I use that. I think it's P73 oregano. That's my favorite thing on the planet. Like, if I'm having anything going on, I'm going to do that sublingually, and it works as an antibiotic. And you got to be careful because it's indiscriminate as to killing good and bad in the microbiome. So you want to, come back in with some probiotics and things like that to rebuild. But yeah, the elderberry is just really sweet for me, and I just don't do that well with it, but it's excellent. Like, it's really, really good. So if that's a thing, you got to find what resonates with you and what doesn't. So for me, the sweeter things don't really resonate.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am too. But my son does really well with elderberry.
Yeah,
And
so that's the thing. You just got to try it and see.
but I actually go and get off of, there's an Etsy shop that I really, really enjoy with any kind of natural herbs. She like makes them herself,
Well, I mean, I can't speak to that because,
But yeah.
I can only speak to what I know that is out there, and we know what's in it and what they're doing with it. So I can't speak to an Etsy shop, but yeah. If that's what you like and you want to put out there, excellent.
And so wise. What do you think we could do to keep the chaos down and the energy vibe high?
Okay. Meditation, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get into an app or find an app that you like, that it's a collective. The more you're vibing with a collective and like-minded, and you can tap into and there are apps, and I'm not going to give names of apps right now but you can find them where there are people joining in live time in your time zone, and in the way that you prefer to meditate. I would totally get in on that. And then, like, hey, 5:00 in the morning, that's my meditation time, and I'm tapping in, and there's, 8,536 people are vibing in with me. And it just gives you that connection that maybe you don't have in your life. Like, maybe you feel like you're alone. You feel like you don't have anybody, and that happens with a lot of people. They feel, when they have these practices of trying to calm their energy down, they feel like it's just them, but it isn't.
Yeah.
At any point in time, it's endless, infinite amount of people who are in the same energetic space of meditating with you. You just don't know it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I always get asked from people that are wanting to begin, how do we meditate? I'm like,
that's
I always say,
big question.
what is your answer to that?
So my question is, meditation, the way that we meditate again, I want to use the word infinite possibilities, because some people do better with mantra. Some people do better with visualization. Some people do better with silence. Some people do better with meditation during sleeping. So you really, again, have to investigate what's right for you in your life. Because if meditation brings you any type of stress, like you get into this regimen of, some people, they work out by the clock. It's like they get on this thing and like they're stressed out that they got to go to the gym at this certain time. They only have this certain time it's like, hurry up and relax.
Exactly.
if that doesn't work. So this is a process where you find your natural flow. Are you better at this slowing of the energy? It's not slowing that's not quite right. It's the calming, the stillness. How do you still? And so
Exactly.
if mantra makes you crazy, then mantra's not right for you.
Yeah.
If telling yourself over and over and over, I need to calm the mind and not let any thoughts come in, that's not right for you either, you know?
No, and so many people think, oh, I have monkey mind. I'm like, well, everybody has monkey mind. It's learning how to silence that monkey mind that works for you. Some of my clients love walking meditations. They get into like their own kind of walking meditation or affirmations. I mean, you were 100% correct. It really depends on you, but there are so many ways out there that are free. Like I like to send people to YouTube. I'm always like, go check out YouTube and see what resonates with you. And then you can always build from there. But there's just so many things out there that people can do to keep their energy high and their anxiety down that I think maybe sometimes it's a little overwhelming.
Well, and I think that people give up because they can look for it, but then it's when you go to YouTube and you don't know what you're looking for, then that's problematic too.
That's when it becomes overwhelming, you know.
Maybe we should make a list of ways to investigate a way to meditate for people. Like maybe I'll come up with that and send it your way, and then you can put it out to them. But I'd be happy to do it. There are so many ways, and then it cuts down the work, because that's the thing. Like we're all inundated with our daily lives as we are, like just trying to keep ourselves above water, most people. And so, trying to figure this out when you don't really know, or how do you even approach it? Then we could make a list and put that out there and say, hey, here are some ways. If you feel like you're this, then try this. If you feel like, we can categorize it and then make it easy for people to go in and take a look.
Well, let's do that on our next one and sit down and do, 10 different ways of meditation and help our listeners find out like what resonates with them, and maybe, just like you said, bring it down to where it's not so overwhelming. Because it's not an overwhelming task. It's supposed to be comforting. I start my day and end my day with meditation, usually around 20 minutes to an hour, depending on, where I'm at for that day. And I think one of the key aspects that you said is to not be hard on yourself. When it becomes a chore and you're not finding joy in it anymore, then it's probably time for you to find something else, a different way. So I think that's something that we should do next time we talk, is bring forward and maybe categorize that for our listeners.
Absolutely. And so I'll ask you, because you're a long-time meditator, I'm a long-time. I've been meditating over 30 years. So what is your preferred style of meditation? Because you get up and you do yours, so what do you do?
So I like guided visualization. I really work well with visualization. I started more with guided meditations when I really made sure that like I wanted to start and end my day with it. It was probably in college, and I read them because, we didn't really have the internet when I was in college. So like I would read the books and like get into my own vibe.
It's so hard to read it and then do it.
It though. Yes. Yeah. But that was the only way we had. So now I really like to do Reiki infused ones and just be able to relax and chill and not have to worry about it. But I also think that comes with time. There's a lot of people that can't sit there for an hour and visualize. And sometimes walking meditations work for me. But usually it's visualization for me. Like I start my day, I bring in my guides and guardians and ask them to kind of help me through my day and manifest it into what I need it to be. And then when I close it out, it's releasing any energy that's no longer mine or, not mine, and
Right.
closing out my day, releasing. I do like little bubbles. You know how you were talking before when we had talked about the suitcases? I actually tried that afterwards, and I really, really like that part because I always have done like bubbles. So I'll put mine in the bubble and then I'll watch it go away, and that's how I clear out. But I use different ones. It really just depends on how I'm feeling, but guided and visualization are usually my top two.
That's beautiful. I tend to do, so right now I'm in transcendental meditation, which is twice a day.
Yeah.
That's a done deal. But I love mantra meditation. And
I know you're a big mantra person.
Oh, I am. And I love Sanskrit. I love the Asian languages. I love mantra in all the languages because there is this expansion of the mind in a different way where you understand the energy without necessarily understanding the words. You go into the feeling without being connected to the mantra. And I think that's so profound and beautiful. It's not for everyone, but it is certainly for me. I meditate at least 3 times a day, sometimes more. It just depends on what I'm doing with work. But I have to meditate to clear out, working with clients. I really do.
I like the mantra meditation when I go outside and I'm grounding, because I agree with you. It does open you up in a different way. And when you really connect with it, it grounds my energy. That's beautiful. When I choose that mantra.
Yeah, well, I mean, the walking mantras that's a mindfulness practice, and that's Thich Nhat Hanh teaches that. I mean, there's Satanama as the walking meditation, which also works with the brain and the mind, where you're using your fingers as you're saying sa ta na ma sa ta na ma and so your fingers are going back and forth on both hands while you're walking. It is a beautiful thing that helps the central nervous system, the brain, everything. So yeah, I mean, there's many scientific aspects to this biology, this organicness. And then it transcends to the spirit, to the mind, through through all aspects. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is. Mm-hmm. So with the veil getting thin, because you hear, right?
Yes.
Do you tend during this time to hear a lot more?
Well, I mean, I think that it's moodier. Does that make sense? It's just kind of a moodiness that we're in. And so, yeah, it's easier to hear the moodiness because that's a little bit of a lower vibrational energy that we move into when things get heavy. So it's like even the heaviness in the air, it'll be the heaviness of things dying. It's the heaviness of the season, the heaviness of the food, the heaviness of the expectations, and all that comes into play. Yeah, I hear that very clearly.
So what do you think about this time and communication with our higher self and those on the other side? What is something that you could put out to the public to talk about that experience if people are experiencing it?
I would say this is a beautiful time to restore, repair, heal. This is a time of rest. We all get hectic in this time, and it's actually the opposite. We should be dormant. We should understand the seasonal aspects of what can happen here. And you can push yourself to the brink, you can go as far out energetically as you want to go and stretch yourself like a rubber band during this time, which is what people tend to do. Or you can pay attention and say, hey, I understand why it's getting darker earlier. I understand why it's getting a little bit heavier. I understand why this is a time of rest. It's a time of healing. It's a time of repair, and all things repair during rest. If
Yeah.
you're constantly active and pushing yourself to the brink, you are not going to, you can repair, but it takes longer. That's the truth. So how long do you want it to take?
Mm-hmm.
I say spirit only wants the best for us. That's all. They have no other want at all than for
Yeah.
us to be our best possible selves with the fullness of the experience that we've contracted. And
Yeah.
we all have our contracts. And, for some people it is to push themselves to the brink all the time and see how that winds up for them. And good, excellent. But for people who think, I want to do it differently this year, different. I need different. I can't do what I did last year. You
Yeah.
can focus on your breathing. If nothing else, if you have nothing else available to you, when you are in stress, in times of feeling overwhelmed, take a deep breath. Just stop yourself right where you are and take a deep breath. And just say, okay, I get it. I know I'm in it. It's okay. Take your deep breath and then move forward. And that's okay. It's okay.
Exactly. Because
You
you always move forward.
might not
There's
have the
always a new day.
maybe you can't make it different this year. And maybe you shouldn't make it different either. I can't speak to what your contract is, but I can tell you there's always an option outside of what you've already done.
I love that. There's always an option outside of what you've already done.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful, Heather. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you can think of to get people through the chaos, the winter season? Anything? I feel like you've pretty much hit everything on mind, body, and soul.
Well, I know this, that spirit, they're always in the forefront of everything. And I know that some of the listeners are like, I don't hear spirit. I don't know spirit. I don't know what that even, how that would even look or feel but I will tell you this. We all have angels around us, period. Period. We all have many, many spirit guides around us at all times. And one thing I will say, because I don't know if we discussed this before or not, but they come and they go. So people are always asking me, well, can you tell me my spirit guide's name? No, I cannot. No, they don't. Spirit doesn't go by names. There are some that have been named for for an understanding in the collective, but
Yeah.
energy is energy. It doesn't have name. And so that's one thing I want to get across here. It's important is that we all have multiple spirit guides that are always working in our best interest for us. They come and go with their expertise and what we're in our current situation. I mean, what we are focused on in our life. There are some that are experts, meaning spirit, are experts in helping. And so others will move out of the way that aren't in as high of a esteem or in knowing knowledge, however you want to put it. They're not experts in it, so they just naturally move out of the way as we move into new chapters of our lives. And you need to know there is never a time that you are not being supported. There is never a time that you are alone. There is never a time that you don't have angels around you, but I will tell you, this is a free will life and you must call upon them. You must ask for help.
You have
You
to ask for help.
have to. They are not allowed to interfere if you don't ask. It's a free will existence. And so if you aren't asking, then you have to literally say, I need help with this. They can't just jump into all. You tell them, okay, this is what we're working on right now. Please come in and make this different. Please help me.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for saying that, because I think that's something that people don't realize. And so when they start asking the presence, especially with angels and archangels, if you work with them, I feel them so strongly and very fast when you call on them.
But
So
it's not even archangels. It's all the angels. There are so many different angels available. And here's the deal, especially during, these times that are coming up right now,
mhm.
when people are struggling and they don't know what to do, or they don't know how to focus, they don't know how, ask, say, I don't know how to focus. Please come in and help me focus. Please help me with my finances. They're completely out of alignment. Help me to figure out a way to put this back together. They are always working in your favor. Always in your favor. And archangels, they kind of come in the bigger things. They're not the daily task. Like, and another thing I want to make very, very clear. It's a crazy thing in life that we're taught, like, just say thank you and don't ask. No, this is energy. It doesn't need the thank yous and all of that. They appreciate it, but they want to help. So ask for the help. We're taught not to ask. We're just told, be grateful, say thank you, and be on your way, and accept your fate. No, ask for help. They're waiting. They want to help you.
Why is it that you think that we are taught to say thank you and be on your way?
I mean, we all have this understanding of gratefulness, mindfulness. Yes, yes, yes. But there are many things in life that we are taught to just let that be your fate. And you should accept that it's not okay.
Isn't that kind of giving your power away?
Well, I mean, it's generational, it's a generational understanding of hardship and of, well, you're lucky you have this, so you better, and then of course, we're in a first world situation. There's third world countries. There are people at war right now. We know this very clearly, and that we should be grateful that we're not in that. And the truth is that, yes, you can be grateful, but you can still be asking for help.
Yes.
It's not one or the other.
Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Buckley. Preach.
You can do it all. You can have the deepest regard in your soul and all the depths of gratefulness and mindfulness, and you are still asking for help. And that's how it should be. We should be asking the angels. We should be asking spirit. We should be asking the cosmos in any way, shape, or form, because everything that we do in a positive direction is a positive direction for literally every single bit of spirit that has ever existed or ever will exist. Every time we do something, it's the thing. So we should ask.
We should ask. What a beautiful place to leave this month's podcast on. I always love having you on. Thank you so very, very much, because this, I feel, helps the collective to understand in a way that's digestible, if that makes sense.
Of course.
So thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for what you bring to the show and to my life.
Thank you for having me. I love coming in and having a chat, and hopefully we'll talk again real soon.
Yes, let's do the whole, like, some meditation lists. Let's do that, and I will bring you back on next month. And if you're willing to be on every 4 to 6 weeks, I'm willing to have you. And I know I absolutely 100% got nothing but incredible feedback. So I'm glad that you are in this journey and in this orbit with me.
Awesome. Thank you. And I am writing my own meditations now. So if you ever want to go through a meditation on the podcast, if anyone is interested in that, I can take y'all through a guided meditation, and it would be amazing to see what people experience through that. So
Oh, actually, let's plan on doing that next month for December and or November ahead of time. And it'll go hand in hand with our meditation list, and we'll close it with you leading a meditation.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome. So tune in the next month, and thank you guys for listening to Get Enlightened with me, Lauren Scott.